This is lesson 72 for 7th grade, and today we're talking about implied ratios. We talked about the definition of the two words that we have here. Ratios, we know that those are, that stems from, or ratio is in the word rational. Okay, rational means fraction. So, or numbers that we can write as fractions. And so a ratio means we have a fraction, and we use that to help us figure out solutions to other problems. So we can compare ratios to one another, and that's where we get proportions, and then that helps us solve. So that's ratio, we should know that. Implied is a new word for us, at least in mathematics, but we've heard it before. For instance, when somebody implies something. It's something that is not necessarily said flat out, but it's kind of hidden, but it's there if you imply something. So this talks about ratios that are there, but might not be said or given flat out. So let's take a look at what that might look like. So here's a problem. If 12 math books weigh 40 pounds, how much would 30 math books weigh? Now you have multiple options to figure out a problem like this, but this is one way that the book shows us how. And it's a good way to keep organized, and it stays within their, they like to make charts in ratio boxes and things. And I think they're nice, they keep things pretty organized. So if you want to go this route, that's fine. But there are other ways to do this. Do whatever is most comfortable to you. Okay, so we want our topics on the side. We have books and pounds, the two things that we're talking about, that we're relating to each other. And we have case 1 and case 2. So in the first case, we have 12 math books that weigh 40 pounds altogether. Okay? And in the second case, they're asking us, well, how much would 30 math books weigh then? So if we have 30 books, how much are they going to weigh in pounds? So case 1 and case 2, and if we put them together and look at them, we have two ratios that form a proportion. So 12 over 40 equals 30 over p. And we can go ahead and solve that. We can do some cross multiplying and dividing. We can do 40 times 30 and divide by 12 to get our answer. That's one way we could do it. Another way that a lot of students like to do is, well, if I know 12 of them weigh 40 pounds, let's figure out how much one book weighs. To do that, we take 40 and we divide it by 12. So how many times does 12 go into 40? Goes into 40 3 times. And we get 3 again, and we're going to keep getting 3s. Okay. So those are going to keep going. So it's 3.333 pounds. So 3 1/3 pounds per book. And then what we can do is multiply that times 30, and we can get our answer. So it kind of depends on which way you want to do it. But this is an option, or these are two options for us. Alright, so that's kind of the setup, the two main ones I would say, and you can decide which one you want to do. So let's take a look at a problem like this. Get out of the way here. Okay. So we have 5 pencils that cost $1.20. How much would 12 pencils cost? Says to use a ratio box, we don't have to. We can figure out how much one pencil costs, and then multiply that times 12. It's up to you. I'm going to stick with the ratio box. And we have a case 1, and we have a case 2. And then we have pencils and cost. And in case 1, we have 5 pencils, and they cost $1.20 together. And they want us to figure out how much 12 would cost. We don't know that. That's what we're looking for. So we have 5 over 1.2 equals 12 over x. Taking our ratios and putting them into a proportion. If we cross multiply divide, 1.2 times 12 divided by 5, we should get x equals $2.88 for an answer. We could also, like I said, figure out how much 1 pencil costs by taking $1.20 and dividing it by 5. So 1.2 divided by 5. If I do that, 5 goes into 12 twice. Five goes into 24 times. Alright. So we've got 24 cents per pencil. And if you take 24 cents times 12, you still get $2.88. So it's kind of up to you, again, which way you want to do it. But either way would work. Alright. Alright. Mrs. Campbell can tie 25 bows in 3 minutes. At that rate, how many bows can she tie in 1 hour? Well, let's set up a box here. We're going to do it both ways again, and I'll show you the difference. 25 bows in 3 minutes. So we've got case 1, case 2, we have bows and time. Alright, case 1, 25 bows in 3 minutes. And in case 2, we want to figure out how much she can do in an hour. That is, if we're sticking with minutes, we've got 60 minutes. And we're looking for how many she can do in that amount of time. So here we have 25 over 3, taking our ratio, setting it equal to our other ratio. And we can cross multiply divide there. So we would do 60 times 25 and then divide by 3. And I believe if we do that, we should get, let's check the answer here, should get 500 bows. Alright, so x equals 500 bows. Alright, now let's check that the other way and see if we get the same answer. We should. Now if we do it the other way, we're going to try to figure out how many she can do in 1 minute. That would then be 25 divided by 3. So 3 goes into 25 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract, we get 1. Now what I'm going to do, on the first example we checked out, I went further with the division and we had a decimal. Well, I'm going to check the remainder out, and what I'm going to do this time is a little different. 8 1/3 is our remainder. Well, remainder 1, so 8 1/3 is our division answer. So that's 8 1/3 per minute. Okay? So 8 1/3 per minute, which is kind of a funky number to work with. And what we want to do then is multiply that times 60 minutes for an hour, and we should get how many she can do in an hour. So we want to take 8 1/3 times 60. Okay? We have a fraction involved though, so what I'm going to do is turn everything improper, make things a little easier. So this is 8 1/3, to turn that improper. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Keep our denominator the same. And then we multiply that times 60 over 1. And what we can end up doing is some canceling now. 3 goes into 60 20 times. So now we have 1 times 1 on the bottom. And then 25 times 20. Let's see what we get. So we've got that. 2 times 5 is 10. Here's 1, 500. We get 500 over 1. And 500 over 1 is the same thing as 500. So there you go. You can do it either way, and it works out. Just have to be careful when we have fractions as a remainder or decimal numbers. But we should be able to arrive at the same answer either way. Alright, last example. We talked about these a little bit because this is a type of problem that you would almost see on a vocabulary test. What word or some word is to this word as another word is to this word, making an analogy basically. We can also do this with numbers, alright? So it says 6 is to 15 as 9 is to what number? Well, it sounds confusing. Well, let's just make a little diagram. 6 is to 15 as 9 is to what number? We don't know what that is. Okay? So if we just do that, we have everything actually set up the way we want. So here's how we do that. 6 over 9 equals 15 over x. And then we have a proportion. 6 over 9 equals 15 over x, and we should be able to get to our answer. 9 times 15, and then divide by 6. And if we do that, we should get 22 and a half. Right there. Alright? And that should get us to our answer. So hopefully that clears it up a little bit, because those do sound weird, but they actually aren't too bad. Alright, that's all I have for today.